Hello, ladies. It's me. I am going to give you the lecture that you missed on Monday in this short video, and then I will catch you up with the other topics in separate videos. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. What we started on Monday was Chapter 13, the biosphere. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the objectives of this lesson. So the first thing is we want to identify the levels of organization that ecologists study. And then we want to describe the methods used to study ecology. So here's your vocab. And again, this is all in the document that is available for you on Canvas. You can download it and look at your notes. So here are the levels of organization for an ecosystem. If you remember from earlier in biology, the levels of organization are how everything that we study in science, we can study from a very small level. And then as we look at more and more of that organism, we see that each stage is organized. For example, in a living organism, the smallest unit is an atom. And then a bunch of atoms together will make a compound. Those compounds come together to make a cell. Cells, a group of those is known as a tissue. A group of tissues is known as an organ. A group of organs is an organ system. And then a group of organ systems is an organism. Well, in ecology, it's similar, but a little bit different. We have the individual, which you can see here, just one little deer. And then we have populations. Populations are groups of the same type of organism, the same species that all live in one area. A community is all of the organisms that live together in one area, all the different species. An ecosystem is where we get into both the living and non-living parts of the environment. So it's all the plants, all the animals, all the bacteria, plus all the rocks and water and everything else that is inside of the ecosystem. Biomes are a collection of ecosystems. They typically have a similar climate, and they're distributed around the planet in regions. And then you have the biosphere. The biosphere is the entire planet as one system of living things. Okay, so let's define ecology. This is the scientific study of interactions among organisms and between their environment. The E and V apostrophe T, I will often, when I'm writing the word environment, I'll shorten it to that. The biosphere, as I just said, is the portion of the planet where all life exists. This extends to the bottom of the ocean and under the ground, all the way up to the highest places where our mountains reach and animals live up there. So a species is a group of organisms similar to one another that can breed together. That part's really important. It's not really a species if they can't interbreed. That's what separates one group from another. Populations are groups of individuals that belong to the same species and live in the same area. Communities are assemblages of different populations that live in a particular place together. Here I picked that picture from Lion King because I knew that you guys have probably all seen Lion King, and you know how Rafiki holds Simba up and shows him to all the animals and all the animals bow down to him. Well, that is the community of animals for Pride Rock. And an ecosystem is a collection of all of the organisms that live in a particular place together with their non-living environment. The non-living environment are things like the weather and the rocks and the water. This is an example of a food web, which we're going to talk more about in a different lecture. This just shows all of the possible feeding relationships within an ecosystem. And this is biomes. This little pie graph here shows you the distribution of biomes across across the whole planet. And what's interesting is that you can see that the different biomes are pretty evenly distributed. Like you see, there's the desert. It holds 19% of Earth's biomes are desert biomes. But 13% are temperate grasslands, and 8% are temperate forests. Well, we happen to live in a temperate forest region right next to a temperate grassland. The word temperate means that they have seasons. As to where a place like the desert, it's pretty much just hot or cold. They don't have much of a middle time. Here in the temperate region, we have summer, winter, fall, and spring. The particular part of the temperate forest that we live in is called a deciduous forest. Deciduous means that the leaves fall from the trees in the fall and they come back in the spring. So some ecological methods. One is that we can go out and observe an environment. So we can go and we can look and we can see what kind of trees live here, how much water is around. We can look for animal tracks and see what kind of animals have been here recently, those sorts of things. Experimentation is when we go and take samples from the environment and we come back and we see what is going on. So we could take a water sample and see if there's nitrogen in the water. We could take a soil sample and see if there's different chemicals such as chromium. We could set up an experiment where we maybe make a worm farm and we feed one just organic produce like leaves and peelings and things. And then we could have another group with more just dirt and regular fertilizer and see which ones grow better. And then modeling is when we would take something large like a whole ecosystem and replicate it very small. So we could make a terrarium, or we could set up a worm farm and a fish tank, and we could observe those over time to learn about ecosystems. All right, this virtual lab is under Chapter 13. If you follow my directions to go through the textbook, you should be able to go get into this virtual lab. The write-up is in Canvas, so all you need to do is go through the activity online and then fill out the write-up as best you can, and it'll give you an idea of how ecologists study a population. That is what we covered on Monday, so I'm going to go ahead and stop this here. If you have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and email me through Canvas, and I will be happy to reply to you. And thanks for watching.